Hello, this is a brief tutorial on how to use the Diet and Wellness Plus app in MindTap. It's a requirement for some of the exercises in the chapters. So let's go through that right now. Um, so here's the application. You could find it here on the bottom right side toolbar. It's this green apple with the red cross in it. It's that arrow is pointing right to it. You click there and it opens up. Uh, and here's the landing page. This is what it looks like. Not much on it until you start populating and tracking your diet and activity. And so here's a landing page for when you choose track diet. So here's where you're choosing at least 3 days, and you should have done this already. Three days. You could do more. Full consumption of foods and beverages, and also tracking activity for that day. And here's one example. I put in tuna salad, and the database pulls up a bunch of things that it has around tuna salad. It could be with egg, it could be with pasta, and what I was looking for was simply a tuna salad sandwich. And here it is. I found it, and I'm going to say what that is for. And that was for lunch on this particular day. Okay, and you proceed to add all your items for the day and another day. They don't necessarily have to be successive days, but maybe that's easiest to just to go through it and do that. So as it accumulates, you'll have a full track record of your consumption for at least 3 full days. And here's you select this tab right here for tracking your activity. And there's many different activities that you could select from. It could be walking, it could be swimming, rowing, running, uh, anything you could think of, you could probably find in this database. And it gives you a choice of how intense that activity is and for how long it is. And you track that for each of the days you're compiling. And you can see that right here. Finally, uh, there's a number of reports that can be made from all these data that you've logged in. And here's all the selections of reports. It could be energy balance, it could be the daily activity log, my plate analysis, DRI report, activities spreadsheet, etc. And there's one here, the last on the list over here is the 3-day average. And so through the activities in each of the chapters, you're asked to make one of these reports and answer some questions. And they're very informative, very revealing, and very interesting. If you've put in good data, it's very interesting to see and reveal things, um, some of the things around your eating and activity patterns. And that's what the questions are meant to stimulate, to make you curious about learning more about your diet and wellness, and possibly making some plans to improve improve that. In fact, it does have a does have goals you could put in as well if you want to use this also. This activity within MindTap could be, if you haven't used anything like this before, it could be practice because there's different apps that you can use that are available, that you could log your diet and activity in as well and track that and set some goals for yourself. Okay, so here's the 3-day average. And here I'm showing, here's 3 days that I logged in my eating, consumption, beverage, etc., and activity these days in May. Okay, so now when you put that in, the app runs a report, and very informative, very long report, and makes sense of our diet and wellness for those 3 days. And hopefully they're typical days to give some good data. Here's an example right here, intake versus goals. So what are the goals? The goals at this point, if you didn't put any specific goals, then the goals come from the profile you set up initially. Okay, that was the first step. You gave the profile your name, you gave it your weight, your height, your age, your activity level generally, and there were a few other questions. And that establishes your DRI, okay, your DRI, your daily recommended intake for various things, like the macronutrients and the micronutrients, for instance, vitamins and minerals, and even calories. Okay, so that's your profile. And it'll compare that to your actual intake and activity over the course of the 3 days that you've put in as the typical days. And here's some of the results. This was from my input. You can see here energy. It has the kcals, protein, carbohydrate, fat, and in one column it has the uh, DRI, that's the recommended, and then the actual. And over here on the right is a nice graphic here showing how well did I do. The black line inside the pinkish area is the pink is under the DRI, a little bit below, and the blue is over. So you can see on calories, I'm slightly below. This is a 3-day average, slightly below. The DRI for myself, the data I put in is 2,691 kcals, and over the course of those 3 days, I averaged 2,154 kcals. So that's 80%, so it was a bit low. Protein, the DRI for me, it says is 54.43 grams, and over the course of those days, I averaged per day 85.4 grams of protein. So you can see here it's in the positive range, the over the DRI. Carbohydrate, I was low here, 80%. Fat, I was um, a little bit, well, in the range, within the range, on the high side of the range. Here's more specifically fat, saturated fat, mono, poly, trans fat, cholesterol. Um, Not all of these items have a DRI, but the ones that do have a DRI, you could see that. So for saturated fat, I was below, which is good. I was below the 10% of the fat. And it goes into a lot of detail. Is our essential fatty acids, splits out carbohydrates into dietary fat and sugar, water, vitamins, and has these nice graphics. So all this is called the 3-day data report spreadsheet. And some of the questions in the chapters in MindTap asks you to look at certain parts of this. For instance, might be a question about what's your macronutrient um, percentages look like? Are you within the DRI? That kind of thing. It may ask you about your protein. It may ask about activity. Um, and so in this big report here, this 3-day report, it also includes a DRI report at the end, and you could see that on the bottom of the screen here. And these are the DRI report comes from the initial profile information that you put in when you started this diet and wellness activity back in chapters 1 and 2. And you put all that in, you put in and the DRI is there also. There were early questions about asking you what your DRI looks like from the data you put in. So that's the reports. So we just looked at how to track your diet, how to put in activity, and how to produce these various reports, looking a little closer at the 3-day report. There are also some very nice graphics here. Here you see the macronutrient ranges and for myself, my data that I put in, and it has actual and recommended. So the actual are the orange lines, and um, where the recommended, I'm sorry, where actual is my 3-day average and the recommended. So you can see and where I am, and actually this is where I've decided my goals are. Be a bit low in the carbs, a little higher in the protein, and right in the range of fat. Alcohol is shown there, but there's no DRI for alcohol. So you can look at a whole bunch of information there, analysis on your eating pattern and a predictor of your wellness. So aside from answering the questions in MindTap, this is very informative, very interesting, and revealing exercise. So I hope that you're all doing it with not much trouble, but this short tutorial might help you along if you are hitting some questions or confusion. And a little more of the detail. Here's a breakdown of the sources of fat. And these, again, these are my 3 days that I have the data in for here. I picked these I chose these because I think that they were representative, typical of my current intake, and that was May 24th, 26th, and 27th. And you can see that breakdown there. And this report you can save as a PDF and to analyze at some other point in time. Maybe make some goals from it, take some notes on it if you get to print it out. So pretty valuable information. lots of data for you to look at from your input and from this very nice database.